Hello, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks for joining me today as we talk about snow and cold and lots of it. We've been tracking the cold air up in Alaska, and a portion of that is breaking loose and coming down toward the Great Lakes. And I'm wondering whether I'm not cold enough for Friday and Saturday, with temperatures approaching zero during the early morning. We have some models that take us down to 10 to 15 below zero here during the early morning period. So it's going to be a wild and frigid period of snow and cold here over the next couple of weeks or so. I want to show you a picture of snow down in Florida. I'm kind of limited in the pictures that I can show because of copyright infringement and all that. But this is a picture that was sent out by the Florida Department of Transportation, and it shows snow along Interstate 10 in Oskaloosa County, Florida. It was pretty amazing. You can see pictures at Google Images of the Pensacola beach sign with snow coming down, the Welcome to Florida sign on Interstate 10, palm trees covered with snow. The most snow that I could find at any one location was 3 inches, so it wasn't a real heavy snow by any means. That was at Monticello, Georgia, which is right across the border from Florida. But a number of places picked up 1 to 2 inches, and you could actually see the snow once the clouds cleared and they got back into the sunshine for a little bit in Georgia. It was snowing at Augusta, where they're going to be playing the Masters golf tournament. So that's and by the way, they may get another round of snow as this cold air sinks on down. That means everything is going to shift south, and some pretty cold air could be getting at least to central Florida, if not southern Florida. All right, let's go on. Our winter storm warning continues here right on into the day. Windy with drifting snow, a possibility here. We could see some gusts up to 35 to 40 miles an hour. Slippery roads out there. Not only is the snow, the salt a little bit less effective when temperatures get on the cold side here, and much of the day we'll be hanging around 14 or 15 degrees, even with the wind coming in off Lake Michigan. Wind chill temperatures should be below zero. All right, let's go on and take a look at what else we've got here to talk about. The winter storm warning covers all the counties that are in pink, and that is the Lakeshore counties, plus Kent, Newaygo, and Lake counties. And then all the other counties are under a winter weather advisory. All right, the next picture will show you how much snow that we expect across the area. And you can see the orange color there equates to about it would be about 8 inches of snow, and the yellow color is 6 inches, and this is snowfall through the day today. So that's a pretty good chunk of snow. In many areas already picked up snow. I mean, I had the plow guy come, and we've had, as I taped this, another 2 to 3 inches since then. I know Allendale looked like they had picked up about 4 or 5 inches of new snow. So the winter storm warning continues as the snow continues, probably a little bit more significant in the morning than it will be during the afternoon. But watch out for slippery spots, sidewalks, parking lots, driveways. We don't want to see those slip and fall problems. All right, let's go on and take a look at the next slide. Snowfall through Monday, 5 to 8 inches west of US 131, 1 to 2 inches once you get over by what we call the snow desert over by US 127. And that would include Mount Pleasant and Alma. Somebody ought to check the thermometer at Mount Pleasant. That appears to be reading a degree or two too warm, but maybe somebody up there at CMU can take a look at that. I'm not sure. Northwest winds gusting to 35 miles an hour, and that will result in some drifting. Wind chills could be as cold as minus 10 to minus 20 at times today and also tomorrow. And again, watch for an additional 5 to 8 inches of snow. Let's take a look at northern lower Michigan and see what's going on up there. We have, again, in the pink counties, a winter storm warning where there could be, again, a half a foot or more of snow. That includes Ludington, Manistee, Cadillac, Traverse City, Gaylord, and Petoskey. Other areas in purple will see a little bit less than that, but still worthy of a winter weather advisory because of the drifting and the wind. And you can also see the advisory in the warning counties up in upper Michigan. But first, before we get up to upper Michigan, let's take a look at lower Michigan. And here's a look at the snow that we expect here. That area up toward Sault Ste. Marie and west of there. And you can see the snow that's coming in. Some of this is lake effect, and some of this is just a little general snow passing on by. So even if you're away in the eastern part of the state, you'll see an inch or two. But the more significant snow will be enhanced by the lake, and that's in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 inches in those orange areas, which would include Manistee, part of Benzie County there, Grand Traverse County, and up in Antrim County especially. All right, now we head up to the UP and show you what's going on there. Counties in pink, a winter storm warning in effect, over half a foot of snow. Some areas could see a foot of snow. And keep in mind, when it gets really, really cold, flake size often goes down, and the snow doesn't accumulate as much as it would when the flakes are bigger. So keep that in mind when it gets really cold here. We're watching, most of the lakes are open water. There's not much ice there, but that will certainly change over the next 3 weeks or so. So we're going to see a lot of ice developing, especially up on Lake Superior there. But even down in Lake Michigan, there'll be some significant ice developing. Okay, let's take another look at the snowfall totals here. This is over the country. 66-hour snowfall, and you can see the biggest blob is kind of like right over lower Michigan here. So it's interesting. A little bit of snow out west, Colorado, Montana, and you can see that little band of snow going through Minnesota, Wisconsin. We'll be adding to that. Next picture, we zoom in a little bit here, and I wanted to show you the area east of Lake Ontario. If we can zoom into that picture, we'll be able to show you that dark red area there. I queried, and some areas there are expected to get 2 to 3.5 feet of new snow. 2 to 3.5 feet of new snow. And even on the low end, that red area right there is expecting about 1.5 feet. So they're really going to get nailed over there, which they sometimes do. The wind sometimes comes down Lake Superior, then over Lake Huron, then finally over Lake Ontario. So it gets modified and picks up moisture from 3 lakes instead of just 1. And of course, the higher elevations there on that plateau really cause some very heavy snowfalls. Let's zoom in and we'll take a look at what's coming for Grand Rapids and Muskegon. That's the snow along the Lakeshore, and you can see that's pretty much where the winter storm warnings are located, with advisories farther to the east. Let's take a look at Grand Rapids first of all and show you what we expect here for the Grand Rapids area. The map here shows 10 inches of snow expected. That's over a 66-hour period. 12 inches on the high end. I probably would have gone more like 15 inches on the high end. And even on the low end, we're talking about close to half a foot of snow. And you can see the percent chances. The chance of at least 6 inches of snow is pretty great. So this is really a sure thing that we're getting here. And now we'll get closer to the lake over toward Muskegon, and this is on the east side of Muskegon where this query was taken. And you can see there the expected amount is 1 foot. On the high end, we're looking at 14, 15 inches. And you can see the percent chances. Chance of 8 inches of snow is about 77%. It's you don't see that too often. That's certainly going to be the case, and more snow to follow as this pattern continues here into the following week. All right, what else do we have to talk about around here? It's going to stay cold. These are high temperatures from Saturday, and many of these temperatures occurred between midnight and 6 a.m. So during the daytime, it was in the mid-teens. And something interesting here, note the wind was out of the southwest. So the warmest areas were areas that had the wind coming in off Lake Michigan. Ludington, south-southwest wind came down half the length of Lake Michigan, and their temperature was at 26. Muskegon, Holland Beach had a high of 25, 22 at Big Rapids and Cadillac. That's inland, but the southwest wind still coming across the water. Benton Harbor, there's a narrower stretch that the wind spends crossing the water to get to Benton Harbor, so they were 19. Grand Rapids, we had a south-southwest wind. It's really weird to get these areas with the south wind being the coldest here, and the fact that it was warmer south and colder, or warmer to the north and colder to the south. Marshall, a high of 15, and 14 was the high at Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. And you can see the picture there at Colden Park showing the ice developing on the lake once again. It broke up a little bit, but now it's reforming. All right, next picture, or next slide here. We'll show you, what's interesting is look at the picture. There were actually a couple of characters that were out there walking around on that ice. Now, that's not safe ice to be walking near. That the channel is pretty much open water, and that's really cold water. By the time somebody got you out there, you might very well have problems with hypothermia. So be real careful out there. I certainly would not advise anyone walking out there. Over on the beach side there was some thicker ice, but I'm sure there are holes in there too that would be less safe. Sunrise now 8:08, sunset 5:38, giving us 9 hours and 30 minutes of daylight. Season snowfall's over 40 inches now for Grand Rapids. Average high and low 31 and 18. We're going to be seeing high temperatures 20, maybe 25 degrees colder than average with this polar vortex segment coming on down. Record high 56, record low temperature, a very cold minus 22 in 1994. I remember that day. I believe that we had a call from somebody, an apple farmer in Belding, who had a low temperature of 37 below zero, and his apple trees were cracking as the cold set in like that. But once again, pointing out on the picture to stay off the piers if you can. All right, let's go on to the next slide here. The lake slide, and this is, again, Holland Beach, the way it was yesterday. Combination of snow and sand drifting around a little bit. You can see somebody in the lower right walking around there. Every now and then you can see somebody, but it's pretty well deserted. Northwest winds over the open water, 25 to as high as 40 knots today, with waves up to 8 to 12 feet. Water temperatures at 32, as you might expect. Reed's Lake is iced in, and gale warnings for Lake Michigan. We have small craft, and then we have gale, then we have storm warnings, then we have hurricane warnings. So we're at gale warnings here, and that's for some pretty gusty winds. On we go. Let's take a look at today's forecast. At 19 occurring during the early morning. Afternoon high temperature will probably be about 15 or 16 or so. 90% chance of snow. It's pretty close to 100% through the day. Humidity high, winds northwest 15 to 30 miles an hour in inland areas. Taking a look at some other high temperatures across the area. They'll start out with Monday today, and you can see 16 is a pretty popular high temperature here, and a little bit colder along the border where that west-southwest wind doesn't hit Lake Michigan. The area down around Sturgis, Dowagiac, high temperature just 11, while it should be 16 up at Benton Harbor with the southwest wind coming in. And then the wind shifts to northwest during the day here. Single figures across the lake, high temperature just 6 in Milwaukee today and 5 at Green Bay. And you can see over on the right side, the purple color in the UP for the small map up there indicating temperatures in the single figures. We move on to Tuesday, not a whole lot better on Tuesday's map, with temperatures here again holding in the mid-teens for the most part. It's a couple degrees warmer across the lake. Chicago may reach 20. And then in the UP, we got single-digit high temperatures once again. And we'll go one more day to Wednesday. Wednesday will be the warmest day of the week. High temperatures may reach the upper 20s to around 30. That's still below freezing, and we still expect cloudy skies with occasional snow showers here. So really a cold pattern if that's the warmest day you're going to get here. All right, let's go on, take a look at the 5-day forecast. We have 90%, 70%, 90%, 70%, and 70% on the snow probability. Monday, again, 19 during the early morning. It may be only around 14, 15, 16 here during the afternoon. Wind chills will be down below zero. We're down in the single figures here Tuesday morning, probably even at the lake. We've got that warm, sizzling 29 here for Wednesday. Then we're back into the teens for Thursday and Friday. I may not be cold enough for Friday. And it will be even colder here on Saturday. I had mentioned yesterday that there was one model. I just don't get crazy here. Okay, this does this sometimes. There's one model that gave Grand Rapids a low temperature Saturday morning of 31 below zero. To have that happen, you would have to have clear skies, calm winds, and a very dry air mass that would really radiate. Plus, you would have to have fresh snow cover. All those things coming together, plus a very cold air mass. And a few of those parameters could come into play here over the weekend as that lobe of the polar vortex passes over Michigan. Okay, taking a look at temperatures across the United States, that blue and purple area is really going to expand. But look at the day today as the cold air comes into North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin. It starts to warm up in Florida, but still kind of chilly there. We're back up into the low 70s in the Rio Grande Valley there, the southern Rio Grande Valley. And it's mild and nice throughout much of the western United States. This blast of cold is going to be centered over the Great Lakes and Northeast. Let's take a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us all the way to February 1st. And you can see you can kind of divide the country in half with very cold air off to the east and warm air off to the west. And that contrast could fuel some snowstorms across the area as well. But we're pretty much assured of this cold pattern sticking around into at least the first week of February. In terms of precipitation, we've got it's near to below normal precipitation throughout most all of the country here. We got above average precipitation scheduled for the west during that 8 to 14 day period and along the Gulf Coast. By the way, there could be, with this cold air coming on down, I could see a significant snowstorm where the cold air gets down into the mid-south, anywhere from St. Louis, Kansas City, I doubt as far as Little Rock, but across to Louisville, Nashville, West Virginia, and then up into the big cities of the Northeast. There, I could see a significant snowstorm passing there, with even some freezing rain south of there. If you know somebody in the mid-south, tell them that we're going to have to keep an eye out for freezing rain and even some wet snow with this. So pretty interesting pattern shaping up here weather-wise. Big thing today, though, is the winter storm warning. Could be up to half a foot of new snow, drifting snow, very cold, wind chills below zero. I'm going to be spending most of the day inside for sure. All right, Michelle is not with us here this evening, but we got some pictures from her too. I want to emphasize this picture again is from the Florida Department of Transportation. But if you go to Google Images and you query Snow Florida 2026, there's a lot of pictures up there, which I wish I could use, but I can't. But we can use these little maps where we put a star up there and show you where that is. And that's in the Panhandle area. And you can see the snow accumulated, not so much on the road. I don't think they salt the roads down there, but the weather's been warm, and so I would assume that the snow melted pretty quickly on the roads. But you can see on the grassy areas there, that looks like a couple inches of snow. And we did have video of snow at Pensacola Beach and all the way down to Defuniak Springs, places like that in Northwest Florida. All right, let's go on to the next slide. A reminder again that this is the anniversary of the only day it ever snowed in Miami. It was just trace amounts, but it was snowing. There's actually video or actually film of that, 1977. Only snowed once in recorded history. It was a really strong northwest wind, so the wind didn't have time to warm up as it crossed the lakes region and got down to southern Florida. Temperatures were only in the 30s in the morning with a pretty strong wind. Big losses to the fruit crops that they have down there, the citrus. And it was also the only snowfall ever reported in Freeport in the Bahamas. So that was an interesting graphic. January 19th, 1846, William Preston was born. He was born in Maryland. He enlisted in the Army in 1861 during the Civil War. Ended up in Indianapolis, got involved in land speculating, which took him to Mackinac Island in the Mackinac area. He was elected president of the village of Mackinac Island in 1877, held many other government offices, and held many other public offices in local government and in the school system there. And that's a picture from up at Mackinac Island, the arch there. You can crawl up almost to the edge of the arch. Pretty interesting. There's a really neat cemetery in the middle of Mackinac Island. It's kind of neat to look there and take a look at some of the people that lived there many decades ago, since the island was first settled. This is also the date when the Bishop Frederick Beriga died. He was the first bishop of Sault Ste. Marie and Marquette, born in Slovenia in 1797. So he lived to be 71, it looks like. He spoke Slovenian, French, German, Latin, Greek, and native Ottawan. Came to the Americas in 1830, arrived in Cincinnati, wrote over 100 hymns in the Ojibwe language, died in Marquette, and was buried at St. Peter's Cathedral in Marquette. There's a number of other things that are named after Father Beriga up there. And there's a weather station at Beriga, which is a very, very small settlement up there. Okay, let's go on to the next slide that we have here for you. January 19th, 1983, remembering Jeanette Robertson of Big Rapids. This is kind of a sad tale. It was a homicide in January 1983. She was killed in the basement of the old Reed City department store between 125 and 350. A co-worker found the body. First responders first thought it was a medical emergency. It's a cold case. No one has ever been arrested. Jeanette was 27 years old and a mother. So that's a sad note on this date. So let's go on to the next one here and see what else we got. Once upon a midnight weary, while I pondered weak and weary, ... quoth the raven, nevermore. This poet was born on January 19th, 1809. The Baltimore Ravens take their famous mascot name from this famous poem, which I had to read in English class at one point in time. I don't know if it was elementary school or high school. That is Edgar Allan Poe. He's got the mustache going there. I like that. So we salute him on his birthday. Let's go on and take a look at the next slide that we have here. This country singer, an American sweetheart, turns 80 tomorrow. Okay, a lot of them are getting older. I know it can't be Willie Nelson. I don't know if I'd call him a sweetheart, but he's over 90 already. She has sold more than 100 million records worldwide and probably hasn't worked 9 to 5 in quite some time. Well, I know who that is. The hint there, 9 to 5, would suggest that this is Dolly Parton. And Dolly Parton is from Eastern Tennessee. Her husband just passed away. They had a wonderful marriage together. He did not want to be in the limelight. He had an asphalt business in Nashville, and a lot of people did business with him and didn't even know who he was. But he was Mr. Dolly Parton. And the two of them used to, when she had some time off, go traveling around in a RV trailer. That was their idea of a good vacation. But they were married for, golly, if I remember right, this is just, I believe, last year or the year before. I know they were married for over 50 years. I'm thinking it was almost 60 years that they were married. So that's most interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next slide that we have here for you. Named after a fruit, this popular handheld electronic device hit the market on January 19th, 1999. The first thing that, when they said fruit, I thought of was apple. But I don't know if that would fit January 19, 1999. As of 2011, they had 85 million device subscribers. They stopped making them in 2020. What could that be? I could go through my list of fruits, pineapple, kumquat. Well, let's go on to the next slide. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, the blackberry. Sure. I never had a blackberry, but It was quite the popular device at the time. It's interesting how technology is just moving along in giant leaps right now. If you have a phone that's that's not up to date here, I mean, it's a horrible thing. Dad, please, I need another phone. Oh well. All right. Well, let's go on again and see what else we have here to share with you. There's quite a bit in the file here for today. So the next picture, I believe, let's see what we got here for you. There we go. I was shoveling the other day and saw this. I love winter in Michigan. So this is outside. You can see some snow on it, and I'm kind of far away, so let me scoot up a little closer here. The bottom part, I can read storm sewer, though the M is kind of hard to make out. Storm sewer, and the very top, I'm not getting the first word, but it says Grand Rapids, even though the G is getting a little funky there. Cast iron storm sewer, perhaps. And of course, look at the design that's in the middle of it there. That's really kind of neat. Wow. So anyhow, thank you for sending that along to us. I'll have to look for on the sewer grates around here a little bit more. Storm sewers. A little artwork there for you. All right, next slide that we have. Let's go on here. This is from Julie Krasinski, a bluebird looking for lunch. Well, I tell you what, bluebirds are kind of related to robins. I don't know if you knew that or not. There are a few bluebirds and a few robins that stay here all winter long. And they tend to be birds that have good real estate. They tend to eat, if there's open ground, they'll poke around on the ground looking for worms, insects, grubs, that kind of thing. If there's a thick snow cover, then they'll be bouncing around up in the trees. They tend to stay in the woods until about February, and then they start to come out again. But this one seems to have come out a little early. But again, many of them migrate and go south, but not terribly far south. I mentioned before we saw robins every winter. We went down to Tennessee, and as long as the ground is bare and they can poke around and find something to eat, they're happy. They'll stay warm. And this bluebird here looks pretty well fed. So I hope he's got a place to hide with this Arctic air coming in here this week and next. All right, let's go on to the next one here. This is from Keely Pierce. Continuing the bird theme here, we have a bald eagle near Duluth, Minnesota. I've heard that there are more bald eagles now than there have been in quite a while around the Great Lakes here, including the Duluth area. There tend to be some eagles that go up and down the coastline there, and as long as they can find something then to munch on, they should be in pretty good shape. We've seen them along the Lakeshore. In fact, I've seen bald eagles several times while I've been kayaking. Once near Rockford, once at Bill's Lake in Newaygo, and once at Gun Lake, and I believe once at Spring Lake too. Saw an eagle fly by. Okay, next slide. I think there's another one here from Keeley. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Those are large Amish haystacks in Mecosta County. You know what a corn, they can tie up the corn and make it look kind of like that. This is hay and not corn. And you can see they've tied it up there. I would assume that the hay in the middle doesn't really get into the snow very much there. But interesting sight to see. And it kind of goes all the way in the distance as far as you want to look. And they've got snow up there in Mecosta County, as you can see. Okay, let's go on to the next slide here. This is also from Keeley, a beautiful sunshiny day. It almost looks like something's wrong if we have that much blue sky around here. But you can see the trees and what could be a little fence there off in the distance. Pretty shot. It's always fun to get some sunshine here. Grand Rapids only gets about 25-28% of possible sunshine here during the month of January. So anytime we get some sunshine here, it is appreciated. Okay, next slide. And by the way, that's the moon up there. It looks like right above the picture there. You can see the moon. From Joy Moore, some snowflakes, detail on the car, 19 degrees in Escanaba. Escanaba is going below zero with this batch that's coming in over the weekend. So find a warm place to be, save a couple extra dollars for the heating bill. But a neat picture. I remember putting out some like black velvet or so, and then trying to take a look at some snowflakes under a microscope outside when I was a kid, and it was kind of fun. Snowflakes have 6 sides. These are all pretty much the same shape and pretty much the same size here. Thanks, Joy. Appreciate your contributions here to the images that we get in and an occasional video. Okay, up next we have, let's see. There's a sign where Joy is. That's up at she's up at Marquette, Michigan there, and of course that is the ski area up there. There's several ski areas up in that general area. Ski Brule is usually one of the ones that opens. There's the ski area there at Michigan Tech. Just kind of neat, and certainly having a good year if you like to ski. I advise people to get season ski passes, so I hope some of you did if you are into skiing like that. Okay, let's go on to the next slide that we have here. From Joy again, snow piles near Marquette Mountain. Marquette Mountain was probably the ski area there. That looks like a Walgreens, and Walgreens is probably on the other side of the street. We got a street light over there, the gray sky, and those are pretty high snow piles there. Those piles will likely still be there, or at least part of them, into early April. We've had years before where snow has lingered in the woods through much of the month of May. We had a couple of years ago when we had a lot of snow up in the UP, and somebody sent me a picture of him snowmobiling in the first weekend of May. So that's kind of neat. And in fact, that year there was so much snow that they had to go along the trails and trim branches because they were afraid people would bump into the branches because the snow was so high as they were going by on their snowmobiles. Thank you, Joy. Appreciate that picture. And let's see what else we have here now. This is from Bernie Engels, snow on my garage door window. Yeah, you can see that frost forms on the window. It's really kind of neat to see. I don't get that on my windows here. I just get kind of a general white over the entire window there. But that's really pretty. What's really neat is people have taken a camera and set it up on their like garage door window, and then they've watched the frost form in time lapse, and you can see the little crystals kind of growing out into like little branches. You can look over on the left side there, and it looks like kind of a fern branch coming up there, and a little bit of water there off to the side as well. All right, let's go on to the next slide that we have here. This is again from Bernie. We got pine cones. I have a couple of blue spruce in the backyard, and they are loaded with cones, just loaded this year. I don't know if that means much of anything other than that they had a good year to grow and they had plenty of moisture during the summer. I think you can write a little too much in when you expect acorns to forecast the weather. But they certainly look pretty, very appropriate here during the, we're a little past the Christmas season, but they look pretty to see here during the winter time. Okay, on to the next slide that we have. And I believe there is a next slide from John Doherty. This is up in Benzie County. That's probably the lighthouse at Frankfurt. I've been walking out there before. I should know that. You can see the little pinkish, purplish color there in the distance, and the darker gray clouds there in the foreground. Most of the water open yet. There's a little bit of ice near shore, but you're going to see a lot of ice form here over the next couple of weeks or so. Pretty picture. Thank you, John, for sending that along to us and for all of your pictures here. We have new viewers from Frankfort, Michigan. This is from Michelle, my daughter number 3. This is my bowfin from Betsy Bay in 2011, and she got a Master Angler's patch for that. And look at the smile on her face. She was very proud of herself for getting that. We get a lot of small fishing. My wife likes to fish. She hasn't been out in a while, as we get older here, but she did quite a bit of ice fishing and had her own auger and everything, and set up out there. And a number of times she went and came back with some nice panfish for us to fry up. Interesting. All right. Do we have any more pictures here? No, we're done for the day here. We have gone on for 36 minutes, so thanks so much for hanging with us here until the very end. Lots of great pictures and videos coming in from viewers. We certainly want to encourage you to do that. You can send it to the show at bill@billsteffen.com. We want to thank you for subscribing. We have about 2,200 subscribers now, and that is growing. Tends to grow a little bit more when we have a weather event like this. And if you like what you see, tell your friends, and maybe we'll pick up a few more of those subscribers. Have yourself a good day. Stay warm, everybody.